Ohayou gozaimashita, konnichiwa, konbanwa, eto irashaimase. My name is Mark, and welcome to 4DM's One Idea, a Western show inspired by Eastern thought. This is a show where we welcome writers, artists, and creators, some might even say philosophers in their own rights, to analyze an idea, whether they're inspired to look inward like the Buddhists to the East, or outwards like the philosophers of the West. I look to our guests to come up with a story, character, economy, artwork, song, or even world based on the same idea that everyone will have to work with. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, the closest Western touch point I can give you is the work of David Hume, who in a nutshell said, think of a chair. And once you have an image of a chair in your head, the image you may have might be a simple brown wooden chair. But I may be thinking of a red lacquered chair with a high back, ornate feet, and a pad on the seat. Neither of these are wrong. They're just different instances of the idea of a chair. Myself and our guests will take an idea and in a short amount of time, create something from that idea, and then we'll all compare notes live and see how different people come up with different ideas and take you through that journey of thought. And speaking of our guests today, we're joined by an illustrious panel of who's who in the tabletop role-playing game community. Our first guest is the DM for Abstract Adventures, a D&D podcast where they make up everything as they go, from encounters to the PCs themselves. Everything has been left to the fate of the dice. Please help me in welcoming Lee Baldwin. Lee, please tell everyone about yourself and what you would like to promote.
Hello. You've already said it pretty much. I am the DM for Abstract Adventures. Jason is one of our cast members here, and I got the idea when listening to other shows and seeing how they, try and always have these big plots and ideas, and I thought, what if we put those ideas into our players' minds, and what if we built on what they were building? And it's been going really well so far, so I hope you all can listen in sometime to Abstract Adventures. It's been a great game.
And where can people find Abstract Adventures?
Any podcasting app. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Google, just about everything. You can find Deezer, all the little ones.
Perfect. Well, our second guest is the internet's resident pun instigator, DM, and player over on Percentile Vice. It's Rick Stevens. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Mark. How's it going? I am Rick. You can find me on Twitter at Rick Stevens PI. You can find me streaming with Percentile Vice. We do shows on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays we talk TTRPG, sometimes interview different creators out there, and sometimes we just sit around and throw stuff around by ourselves. On Thursdays we do our actual play. Mostly we do Call of Cthulhu, but we branched out a little bit in some areas. We are currently running a Savage Worlds game by a indie developer, Tablecat Games. The game is called Street Wolves, and it is 1980s synthwave setting. Really cool. You should check it out. Tablecat Games, Street Wolves. So I want to plug them. But every Thursday you can find us doing actual play, mostly Call of Cthulhu, and every now and then we do something special. And I have given you a Percentile Vice a shout out in the chat so people can find it easily and go follow them, of course. And then our third and final guest is the DM, or sitter, if you will, for the Babies and Broadswords podcast from Even Footing Games. It's Jason Cassidy.
Hey, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me. Even Footing Games is a collective of creatives who all got together to make independent narrative-heavy TTRPGs. Babies and Broadswords is our first game, and our podcast is part actual play of the Babies and Broadcast game and part game design discussion. We usually spend the last 10 minutes or so of each episode talking about the things that we're working on, discussing rules that we might have used in that adventure. Right now we are doing Babies and Broadswords, but as we design new games, we'll play those games. So just check us out. Look for Even Footing Games on any of your podcasting apps.
Perfect. And then before we get started, I must give credit where credit's due. I was inspired to create this show by Andrew Huang. He's an amazing music producer on YouTube who had the idea to create 4 producers, 1 sample, which was the inspiration directly for this show. If you enjoy music and creation, make sure to check his YouTube out. Secondly, if you enjoyed this kind of mental exercise for TTRPGs, I highly suggest you check out Redemption VA's Writer Blocks on Thursdays, where they're taking words from guests and world building an entire setting as a collaborative writing process based on those words. So that's Redemption VA on Twitch on Thursdays. I do want to thank the new followers on Twitter. We blew past 1,100 this week, which is kind of insane. Please be sure to check us out there for any scheduling notes at Gamers Ledge. Secondly, I do want to thank new followers on Twitch. We just passed 850, which is amazing. We're actually in a friendly race with 2 other streamers of similar size to hit 1K followers on Twitch. So if you know someone that might enjoy the shows, please do send them our way. I do want to thank all of our new followers on this on Twitch this week. And this is a big list, so I'm taking a big breath. Dungeoneering with Jason, Jimmy St. James 138, Da My Star, Sandpiper, Giovanni Sims 206 CBV, Emma Flerneur, Them Artsy Ghost, Thunder Ronin X, Mr. Suspicious, Fuzzy Wuzzy, Sour Dave 93, Worth French Fry, Big Cloud ZZ 1994, Destroyer X Gaming, Yoda on 420, Siuni Do TTV, Sparkle 3, Mark My Words TV, Prestige PR, Surge TJ, 7 Lucy 7, Get Yade, Chupa Thingy 6173, Daisuke Narotaki, N Dragon Z Gaming, Unsweetened CA, Josephina 617, Scruffy's Gaming, Padra Plays, Easy Game X, It's Jug, Real JTKW, Was Up, Mr. Cyanide, Nico Knows Tech, Tiny Painting Desk, Gas Mask 0, The Golden Hash Brown, Legend of Zach 177, Tofu the Survivor 91, The Chirp Man, Zello Stream, Aliex OGSD, Iron Man Duck, Townsy 86, Swerj Vigzid, The Chad 3883, Swiftkilla, Arian, Crazed Anime Fan, Solnos, Drinksaki, Xanithus, So You See It, Friddle, Jersey the King, Aurelius TV, Miss Luli, Captain Yamamoto, Ice Pack, and Zero on KBM. Thank you and welcome to all of our new folks.
And next week, Mark, if we could get you to alphabetize those for
That
us.
would be great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. I also do want to give a huge shout out to Mr. J Nice for his extremely generous $50 contribution towards our annual goal for Streamers for Kids. We've joined a streamer group promoting Extra Life, which, if you're not aware, is a charity to buy sick kids in hospitals gaming equipment to make the things they're in the hospital for not quite as unbearable. If you would like to donate and brighten some children's days, simply head to our Twitch page and scroll down and click on our giant program schedule logo, and it will take you right to the donation page. The Twitch extension for Extra Life is broken for some reason, so that's our workaround is you have to click on our program schedule logo, and it'll take you right there. Also, we've changed the channel point rewards. There's only one that affects the shows for 500 points. Is to make us all take a drink and cheer to creativity. And the 1 point check-in, everyone please do if you're here. Go down and check in. It helps me give shout-outs to everyone on Twitter after the show since my brain is a sieve. And with all that out of the way, is it yet 5:10? It's not. This is the first time this has ever happened. I've actually gotten through all of my announcements before the time that the magic arrives with the idea for the evening.
So do we need to all talk very slowly
No,
for
it's
the next
fine.
minute?
It's fine. It'll come eventually. But yes, we've been very lucky. We've been very blessed with everybody coming through and following us. We do appreciate that. We had a ton of raids this week. Not Kutaza with 7 raiders, Beekeeper Gang with 2 raiders. We had Twisted Ginger with bits and subs, and then we had Skix Tracks with a raid. We had Mr. Suspicious and Scotty's on Fire with a double raid this week. Skix Track with another raid. Blue Squatch with a raid. The 2 Nicks with a raid. Jag Leisure with a raid as well. I mean, I want to say that we've had over 170 people through raids this week alone. So come in. So wow. Thank you all for trusting us with your communities. We appreciate that very much, and we promise to take good care of them and also fill them with a lot of dad jokes because that's what we do around here, and puns. But aha, it did not play because I just realized my phone is muted. But Navi did just go off and tell me that we have
I hate it when it starts off like
Here we
that.
go.
All right,
Here we
this
go.
is good. All right.
So
Here we go. Let's do this.
I roll. We're in trouble.
the idea for this week is Sasquatch.
All right.
15 minutes are on the board. Sasquatch. Also, do want to take a quick moment to welcome everybody in. Oh, I see the to creativity. I will get that right now. Thank you very much for that. Conjury Club, welcome to the stream. Hello there.
Hello there.
Haven RPG, Percentile Vice, welcome to the stream. Hello there.
Hello there.
Actually, for me, Percentile Vice, it's Tenacious D, because they were chasing Sasquatch in one of their songs. I'll unmute myself and make sure everybody knows to take a drink here. Also, we have our first to creativity for the evening. To creativity
Creativity.
and Pollo Loco.
Creativity. Ooh. Mucho gusto.
Mi español es muy mal, mi amigos de Brasil. Habla portugués. Is español y English, Portuguese-Spanglish.
¿Dónde está el baño?
And then you have the Texan flavor, grassy ass ignore.
Here in Georgia, we speak Southern French, and it's come and tie my shoe, silver plate.
I think it's just a tribute. I couldn't remember the greatest stream in the world. No. Haven RPG, it's going well. We've got our topic for the evening. I'm procrastinating. I'm trying to think of something. Sasquatch is the idea for the evening that we're all going to try and create something from. It is a lot of fun if you like kind of doing this type of mental improv. I've got the crux of an idea here. Someone actually said that tiny painting.
All right. Chat, quit bringing up the beef jerky because now I can't get it out of my head.
It was not. I was telling them it was not the first thing that came into my head. First thing was Tenacious D because they were chasing Sasquatch in the.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can't get it out. Yeah.
Welcome in, Shane Loves Games. Hello there. Welcome to the stream.
Hello there.
Yes, we all have 15 minutes to take the idea that we just all found out, including myself, and come up with something. So yes, we are each coming up with not necessarily a scenario. It could be an NPC. It could be a setting scenario. It could be a BBEG, big bad for an entire campaign. It could be an economy, a world, a song. Doesn't matter what it is. All good. Jimmy James, Sasquatch on a unicycle. Nice. You could say the jerky commercial on the brain is a hairy situation. Yes.
You could, but you would be judged.
Yeti doesn't care.
I think we need to squash the puns.
Did you say squatch the puns?
That's
I
what
might have
heard.
said that. I might have said that.
Oh no, I'm stuck in a room of dads. What am I gonna do?
100%.
You're gonna clean your room and get to bed at a reasonable hour. Is what you're gonna do.
It's too late for that.
Too late for that.
Conjuring Club both will hit you over the head and drag you back to their caves. So, fair point to be afraid of them. You're going to scream real soon because chat loves puns. I'm just telling you now. This show's chat is nothing but puns. I do have to spend a little time actually coming up with my thing, so give me just 1 second. Yes, Deco DM. That is exactly how we roll around here. That is exactly how we roll.
Probably not doing myself many favors, and I'm spending more time trying to think of more Yeti puns than I'm actually working on this idea.
Yeah, that's usually the catch-22 of the show.
I mean, there are no wrong answers, right?
That is correct.
Careful, you're going to put a big foot in your mouth.
Ugh, damn it, I got to scratch that one off the list. All right.
Not to alarm anyone, but we have just under a minute 30 left.
Shoot, I'm alarmed.
No, you're Jason. It says so right under your box.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Yeah, I walked into that one with my big feet.
Hairy big feet. Ten seconds. Very good. As I am always the first guinea pig, I will go first in this. I actually kind of like this idea. Mankind manages not to destroy itself over the next several hundred years, but the world is ending. In all its glory and hubris, man has drained Earth of its resources, and so as a civilization, they turn their focus to the stars. They have identified a habitable planet 70 years from Earth. And so mankind loads its biogenetics from Terra into the Ark, the largest spaceship in the history of mankind ever built. The Ark launches with thousands of other crafts as the exodus from Earth begins. But deep in space, as most people on this 70-year journey go into hypersleep, disturbances on the Ark are being noticed by the generational skeleton crew that must remain awake. At first, it's food being raided. Then it's destruction of certain areas. There's an old threat that didn't appreciate almost being left behind on the planet and was smart enough to board the ship. The missing link, the Sasquatch. So I'm thinking this should be run as a horror/sci-fi campaign, and the players should not know what the BBG is until they actually encounter it themselves. I'd make it kind of an alien-esque level of tech where it's definitely not like next gen or even cyberpunk. But the PCs should be part of the generational crew, which actually opens a bunch of different ethical quandaries. You know, do they kill the Sasquatch? Do they, what do they do? How do they resolve this, first of all? But secondly, once that's out of the way, they're part of a generational crew that's basically been consigned to die so the wealthy and all the people that in cryosleep can live. What will they do? Will they do what's best for humanity or do what's best for them?
Interesting.
Are they the original crew or are they the children of the original crew?
You could do it either or.
Because I'm curious as if these are the kids of the crew, would they even know what a Sasquatch was in the first place?
That, and maybe that's part of it, is they have to go back through Earth's records to figure out what it is, because it's not something that's going to be cataloged into the system.
Right. And it's buried, right? Somebody, if it got in there, it's because somebody missed editing it out as they were putting the important information from the world in there. They were trying to keep all the loony crap out of it.
Right.
And yet.
So I think I like this because it's not anything that I would normally come up with.
Yeah.
But I like it feels almost like an Asimovian kind of setting where, mankind is dumb, they've screwed the world, so now it's time to leave, but it's not next gen where we can just go zoom somewhere in 5 years. It's got to be a really long haul, and we got to have tech that creates blind spots for the PCs, and that's kind of the idea.
The thing that's stopping humanity from its next evolution is a fragment of its past evolution.
Exactly.
And
That's
I like
exactly
that.
it.
I like that.
There's so many different, you
Yeah.
pitched it as a campaign. I can think of so many different little adventure scenarios.
Mhm.
Like one, I would want to know, all right, so Sasquatch was left off the boarding party, right? Two of
Right.
everything. Here we go. And they got, snubbed and mad when they snuck on. So an investigative scenario where the party had to figure out how did this thing that they don't know what it is yet even get on to the ship, and maybe through investigating that they start to get some clues of its identity.
And that to me is actually one of the things that's beautiful is they must have had some way to stay hidden from humanity all this time.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's an active thing that the DM can play with, whether it's power or it's, maybe they have something built into their DNA that you see them, but your vision just slides off of them.
Ooh.
And it's one thing to develop an evolutionary camouflage, but this also posits that they're smart enough to understand what's going on. They know what the ship is. They got on that ship for a purpose.
Yep.
That's scary as well. Yeah.
Yep. And so once the players know all that, then it becomes the ethical or moral dilemma of, is this a monster and do we kill it? Or is it something that we try and strike a bargain with? Or Rick's been on the show enough. That's like my Pandora's box right there. That's the thing I always like to put in is the ambiguity of choice as to what the players do. And I think that's a really interesting conversation in twofold, because is there something that maybe the Sasquatch can offer the player characters to help survive if they come to some kind of truce?
Yeah.
So
They're experts at survival, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mark, with quality submissions like this in a mere 15 minutes, your audience is going to start to question whether or not you really don't get a free.
I'm telling you, I
is he
can show you the
cheating?
timestamp.
Rick, is he cheating?
I'm just saying,
I'm just
people out
saying,
there might
I can
think
show
that.
you. Hold on, 1 second.
Accusations.
You can see right in the middle there, 5:09 p.m.
You could have
Sasquatch.
set that up beforehand.
That's right. That is deep fake. No, that's
Deep
that's a really, really good idea, Mark. And I am amazed that you in the 50. I would spend 15 minutes just getting to the part where what about if I got a ship and we're going to get off the earth? And by then the bell would have rung and we were done, and I would have to fake it.
If it makes you feel any better, I was interacting with chat for like half that time.
Is that supposed to
Is that supposed to make you feel better? Yeah. You need to
I'm
eat
just
less time. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just getting weird crosses now between Harry and the Hendersons and Predator. Like
Yep.
throw the two of them together.
That's-
Yeah.
Exactly it.
I like that.
Other questions for me, or thoughts or comments?
Could you spin it so that, like maybe in an expansion or so, the players could be Sasquatches?
Absolutely. Why not?
And then turn it from the other direction.
The other, you could start from the other direction.
Yeah.
The players are the Sasquatches that have snuck onto the ship.
On the ship. Yeah, that's okay.
And then it becomes, what's their end goal? And what methods do they take? Do they take out humanity at the cost of their vengeance, or
just knock out the crew and take the ship on a little bit of a joyride, because they haven't had a lot of chances to just go let loose and have fun on Earth as they spend all their time hiding.
It's true. How do they adapt to the technology and everything? Or do they have secret technology that they've been hiding in Sasquatch caves, I suppose?
I mean, you could even go the other route and say that, yes, they look like Neanderthals, but perhaps they're more evolved.
They're more evolved,
than humans, and have a higher level of tech. I mean, you can take that any 1,000 different ways you want, but I like the idea of, you don't see many. You see a lot of sci-fi horror that's based on alien things and alien technologies, but you don't see a lot based on like mythological history.
No, and I think the cool thing is that it could be very easily to sway for most players that the crew you're playing, the humans, you deserve what's coming to you. You know, you were part of the species that wrecked the planet. You know, it's there's some comeuppance that's due. Yeah.
So Mark, so most of the crew and the wealthy, they're in stasis or something, and you've got this crew who's only
right off the bat.
Their job and life is to just pilot it from A to B, and hey, thanks for your service.
That's right. And die along the way.
Right. Thanks for your service.
Right.
The animals, though, I'm thinking of. I don't know if you remember early 80s, probably not any of you guys. There was a really small, thin book called Metamorphosis Alpha. And it was a tabletop role-playing game where there was a spaceship lost out in space, and it had like 17 levels. And each level was a different biosphere. And as you went up the elevator, got off, and who knew what you were going to find, right? And there were biospheres similar to Earth's. There were a bunch, but I'm thinking that all the plot hooks that could be tracked back to your idea, that the animals are not in stasis, right? They're out there living and evolving and procreating and just in certain levels and spaces on this thing. And that could add to a lot of, as you're hunting down whatever this mysterious thing is, a lot of encounters, problems, issues. So made me think back to that. Yep. I think the first game I ever bought by myself, because it was like a little pamphlet book, $5 at the bookstore.
I'm actually, normally I try and cite my references for where I come up with these ideas, and I can't remember for the life of me where I'm thinking about the generational arc ship. It might be an Asimov one, but I'm not positive. But the idea was that you had a generational ship, and you had basically it was Noah's Ark of biogenetic DNA samples inside of
Wally.
it to go to. I
mean, Gene Wolfe wrote a really good.
Wally also, actually.
Yeah, it could be Wally.
I mean, it could be melding of the two for all I know.
Right.
Yeah. I am only a product of everything I've ever seen and read. So, yeah.
Right.
100%.
Aren't we all?
And any good sci-fi writer wrote a world ship book at one point or another. Yeah. But no, I think that's very cool. I love the fact that it's an ambiguity. Do you side with the Sasquatch, against your capitalist overlords? Do you fight for humanity against the sapient species? It really leaves a lot of room for some ethical decisions there. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Crowdad says, or maybe we're an evolution from the Sasquatch aliens that came to Earth, and then something happened to set the intelligence level back. So the remaining Sasquatch are super smart, which is why we've never seen them ever, and we're the dumb ones. He didn't say that, but I kind of like, yeah.
His little ... inferred that, yeah.
Yes.
Well, we can take that route, and the Sasquatch built and made this ship, and they're piloting it, and just two of us are now passengers on their ship.
Yep, stowaways. Yep, that works too.
Humanity's the one that broke out of their the livestock stasis.
That's right.
That's right. All right. Well, that will wrap up mine. Let's head over to Lee.
Oh, goodness. To follow that up. All right. It's going to be difficult, but I'll do my best. So I got a little intro here. Looking deep into the longing woods, you take an unsteady step forward. There is nowhere to go but forward. Your supply has run dry, and the night is endless, and it is the cause. Long has it been searched for, but you know now, alone in the dark, that you are the hunted. Was it never discovered, or was there nobody left behind to find it? That spear on the wall in your cabin, it has to be the only way. And so I've got a little one-shot encounter that, a little spooky in the woods sort of deal. So I figure Sasquatch is going to be a very large monster, but also something that somehow got away with being hidden for all this time. So I'm thinking it's going to ignore difficult terrain. It's going to have advantage on stealth checks, moving through the forest specifically. When fighting against it, I think it should have a bonus to grapple because it's bigger. It's just like huge thing. And I was thinking a very 3-point attack system. So it's going to have like a swipe across the path that you're on. And then it's going to have a grab move and then a smash move. And during this 3-point system, you will have a chance to get a attack on them with its downward lunge. You can use the spear to plant it into the ground and stab it. And so it is weak to piercing damage. And if you manage to kill it and skin it and make something cool out of its pelt, you'll have advantage on stealth checks in force, and you'll also have advantage on grapple checks while wearing this cloak. So I just automatically thought of a big monster to fight.
I like that you actually kind of Kingdom Death Monstered it. Have you ever seen Kingdom Death Monster?
No. I haven't.
It's a really, really expensive tabletop board game where the expansions cost like $350 a piece. It's really expensive, but that's basically the goal of the game. Is you're a civilization trying to survive, and when you kill the monsters, you skin them and make armor out of them, and then you gain like some of their stuff for you. So yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I really like the idea of like every time you beat something big, you get a special item just for you. And so I don't have a character to base it on right now, so I'm going to base it on the enemy here. But yeah, so I was thinking like a very folk horror sort of scenario. You're alone in the woods, you realize that the night just keeps going on, and the only way out is to defeat whatever is out there.
And so are you thinking of a specific system in mind for running the combat and the hit points and all that type of stuff? Or
I usually default to 5th ed or Pathfinder, so it's kind of all over the place. Like I have +5 to stealth, but then I have advantage on grapple, so it's kind of all mixed up. It's the two favorite systems of me and my spouse, so I kind of can jump between the two.
And so you'd be thinking like a level 1 character, or do you think higher? What would you be thinking for the player and for it as far as like a challenge rating?
I like it for like a level 3, I think. Level 1 would be really fun and a huge challenge, but not so much. Like this is definitely something that's still supposed to be scary to you, even though it's just it's just a big hairy man in the woods, but it's a very scary hairy man in the woods. So I think level 2, level 3, that would be the perfect zone for that.
I think when you're alone in the woods, any hairy man is scary. I think that's across the board. I like how it's big and yet it's got elements of, it's got that stealth to it. So it's just like a lumbering shadow, like, and the fact that the attacks are all swipes and grapples, it really feels like, like almost a force of nature coming down on you. If this thing gets a hold of you,
definitely.
it's going to slam you into the ground a few times. Yeah, but you won't see it coming because, it's blending in with the night around it. I think that's
yeah.
That's
I also
scary.
wrote
I like
down
that.
something about like a misty step like ability that it could move through like the tree lines on its off turns. So just one moment it'll be there, and then it'll be 20 feet away from you and snatch at you from the trees again. So
I think this is a really cool idea, and I think you said level 3, maybe level 1. I think you could make this scalable really
absolutely.
Easy.
Easily, yeah.
Get up a little higher and give them some legendary actions, give them a lair or get some extra lair type actions. But what it would really be, I've never played one of these before. Well, I take that back. I have once as a player, but a 1 versus 1
Mm.
would really run the horror on it way up if it was
Yeah,
one
that's
party
definitely how I
member
imagined
and the
it.
Sasquatch. And just maybe that's why I'm thinking of it, because of the way you described it. But not your typical party of 4 folks sitting around a table, but hey, let's dim the lights. It's just me and you. You're the player and I'm the DM, and it's about to get wicked in here. I love it.
Yeah, I definitely imagined it that way. I hadn't really thought about how that would leave out a party, but maybe you get separated somehow. Maybe its lair is the forest, and you somehow got isolated in that way.
I'm not gonna lie. When my party splits up like this, I usually do something like this. To encourage them.
Don't
not
split
to
the
do
party.
this.
Yeah. Don't fail your perception check when you're on guard. This is what happens. Yeah. No, I think it'd be a very cool monster, absolutely. And I'm hoping you do and don't bring this into our game.
I was gonna say, like you should be talking about guard watches, Padlet.
At a low level, you could probably give it 1 legendary action to extinguish light sources.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
It's nice.
I was thinking it's like it's 3 moves would be pretty much its legendary action, but some extra ones would be pretty good.
Don, she mentioned it would be vulnerable to piercing damage.
Piercing damage, yeah.
Yes, because you have a spear, and I was imagining, I can't for the life of me remember what movie it is right now, but it's about the bear in the woods, and the dude who's like a rich dude, he wants to kill it, or they get lost. Oh my god, what is it?
Is that
bonus points to whoever can name it in chat? But
it's Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins, right?
And they set the spear in the ground, and then the bear's just like, "Arr!"
Instinct,
so I was imagining
Primal
that.
Instinct, is that what it's called? Something like, I know which one you're talking about. Oh, yeah,
it might be that.
I think
they get
Primal
lost in the
Instinct's a
mountains.
different movie. Pretty sure that's
a private
Sharon
movie, Jason.
Stone.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, that would be Basic Instinct.
Oh, you're right. You're right. My bad.
Spears are involved in that one as well.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Sorry. I really like the Lee. I love the idea of after defeating it that you could take its pelt and get this cloak or other than any kind. I just love that idea. I've never incorporated that into any game I've had, unless it specifically was a monster that said that, and you just don't run into it often. So how often do your players even think, why don't I, take this guy's pelt and see if I guess a lot
more often than I would like to talk about.
So, as one of Lee's players, we skin stuff all the time.
Right. Well, I have a feeling my players are going to start
doing it now. Yeah.
I was going to say, I once made stats for a enemy's heart because I knew my players so well, but it didn't come around. It'll come around again someday.
I'm sure it will.
I also have to admit that my players skinned the first one they came across to sell all of its parts at market. And let me tell you, D&D 5e does not have a chart for how much Dragon's Heart sells for.
No, you just gotta make
I had to make that stuff up on the fly. So yeah. Surprisingly, yes.
Sorry, me thinking of stats for its pelt was a pretty natural progress for me, actually, based on my players and how they usually get their loot. So,
if the bear wins, will it skin and
it'll skin
the
you.
player?
Yeah,
and then the rest of the party has to find it.
Oh man, maybe.
Jimmy, you look bigger than usual.
Are you okay?
I think it's just cool because it forces the idea that, or it posits the idea that the creature isn't magical per se. It's an evolution. It's a physical thing. It's a physiology that makes it stealthy. It's not casting a spell or whatever. That's just part of its makeup. Yeah, which I think is very cool. Yeah.
The Edge is the name of the movie, apparently.
The Edge.
That's it. Thank you.
Chat was in with the winning.
The Edge.
Yes. Aaron 83 said The Edge. Did somebody beat me? My internet went down as per usual. Nope.
Oh,
You got
man.
it in. So
The first and last time somebody's mentioned that movie in about 15 years,
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
probably true. Probably.
I like that movie. Except for the bear killing part. I love bears, so it was a little rough for me to watch.
Sorry, it's a movie about killing a bear. That's the premise of the movie.
It's interesting otherwise. I just don't like the anti-bear propaganda, okay?
The anti. Do we have any other questions for Lee's idea?
I think it's a good monster.
I think it's
like
very
it.
interesting.
I think it's a cool monster. Yeah. I like it.
I actually am probably going to use it to
was
murder one of my players. So thank you.
Good. I'll send you the stats.
I don't want to fight it myself, but I will definitely send somebody else after it. Yeah.
You'll send Akron out.
Yeah. I'll snag that pelt up though. Yeah.
Well, that's going to bring us then to Rick.
All right. Well, I got 3 ideas here.
Okay, Daniel.
I'm kidding. I just figured somebody was supposed to say that, right? I went the opposite direction. And Lee, if you thought it was tough following Mark's idea, I'm feeling double that because you both had great ideas.
Yeah.
So I only got one idea here, Mark, but I think I may have broken new ground on the show. I have developed a player background.
Ooh.
So the background is Sasquatch. You've lived your life in seclusion forever, always staying out of sight and out of the way. But something has brought you out of that seclusion and are now find yourself adventuring. D&D 5e. So as a player, as you're figuring out your backstory, you've got to figure out, how do I justify that? What brought me out of the forest or the mountains or whatever into a life of adventure? So skill proficiencies, I did some quick research. It looks like most backgrounds will give 2, but I'm going to give 3 skill proficiencies here: nature, stealth, and survival. Tool proficiencies. So if I'm thinking just about what we think of as Sasquatch, but I figured this is a background for a character who's now going to be an adventuring character, so I got to give him a little bit of help. So I gave him a disguise kit as tool proficiency. But because I did give them 3 skill proficiencies on languages, I gave them none. They don't know common. They don't know anything else. However, I am going to give them a use at will speak with animals. So anytime, speak with animals. But you're going to have a hard time, at least at the beginning of your adventuring career, figuring out how to talk with the paladin or anybody else. You and the Kenku might get along.
Of course.
Equipment. I'm not giving them any equipment, maybe a loincloth.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
A good stick.
Thanks. Started work on a few of the tables based on time constraints. I couldn't get these out to like a D12 or a D6 or D8, but here's where I was going with it for an origins table, right? Just quickly jotted out, you could have come from a forest environment or a mountain environment. If you picked mountain environment, maybe it was way high up in the mountains. Are you more of a Yeti than a Sasquatch? Or Arctic environment, maybe a plains environment. Could flesh that out a little bit more, but there's a D4 table. You don't see many of those, do you? Everybody's like, I've got 4 things. I've got to keep going. There's a D4 table. You heard it here first. So for their origin, they could pick one of those things. As a feature, I'm going to give it a feature I've just made up. You heard it here first as well. I'm going to give him pass with a trace instead of pass without a trace. Leave tracks that go nowhere. Attempts to track you are always made with disadvantage.
That's brilliant.
Thanks.
That is so good.
For the personality traits, again, I didn't have enough time to get 6 or 8 or 10 on each of these, but personality traits, jotted down a few. Could be shy, aggressive, misunderstood. We could fill out that list. Under ideals, it could be protect nature, or the tribe is everything, or live and let live. And we could fill out the rest of that table there to give them some ideals to choose from. Bond, maybe isolation is necessary, but it's depressing. Like, this Sasquatch is really sad. Maybe that's what brought him out, but it's necessary because everybody seems to want to capture or kill him. And then I also thought on bonds, I would like flip the script one time, that maybe the bond that this particular Sasquatch background person has is they're searching for someone or something that they just can't find, but they're always finding little clues for that thing.
Yeah, they're Sasquatch.
But they're obsessed with now finding this thing that everybody else tells them doesn't exist. For flaws, I thought, what would be a flaw for a Sasquatch? Well, if you were a show off, that would probably be a flaw for a Sasquatch. Insatiable curiosity, like you had to go check stuff out, like, oh, there's a human village, let me go see what they're up to. And then along those lines, another flaw is like, I don't know, something similar to kleptomania, but you just love little trinkets that humans or elves or dwarves have, so you're always risking being found going in to get those little trinkets. So like I said, all of those could be fleshed out to full personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, tables. I just gave a little bit of a flavor to them there. It'd be interesting what kind of clash you could pair this with. Could you imagine a Sasquatch background thief? That would be kind of cool. But anyway, that's my idea.
I have 2 thoughts on this. Number one, under the flaws, especially when you pair it with pass with a trace, I would almost think that, I don't know what the name of it would be, but can't not mess with people. Because
meddler.
If you've been doing it your whole life, even when you're trying not to, you can't help but put those tracks to lead somewhere else. Meddler. Even though, I would think there's got to be some kind of that would definitely be one of the flaws.
That is perfect.
It very much kind of leans into that the trickster folklore thing. He's screwing with people on purpose because he enjoys it. I would have a blast playing a character like this. I think this would be a real challenge, especially the lack of communication and the just being able to role play this sort of kind of lumbering, silent, like it's just the challenge would be really fun to play. Yeah.
Have you guys ever played Big Eye Small Mouth?
Mm-mm.
It is an anime game based on 3rd edition D&D or now 5th edition D&D, but it has like a flaws portion that you can take to gain more points and your powers and everything. It's way over the top, but one of the things that you can do is actually not take a language, or take a language that nobody at the party nobody at the table has. Yeah. And so I took Japanese, and my DM decreed that I could only speak Japanese at the table. Best role-playing sessions ever.
Man.
Because no one knew what the hell I was saying the whole time we were playing. And it became this non-verbal, kind of figuring out how to communicate. Really, really good. So I think this has a lot of potential for somebody who would be willing to role play that out.
And man, you could get frustrated. Fun. Yeah.
I kind of like Percentile Vice's idea here. A Sasquatch spellcaster who has somatic and verbal spells, things they have to do. Yeah.
Right. I'm so glad you can do that.
I think, my first thought was a bard, but then the language barrier would get in the way. But I really like the idea of a Sasquatch who's constantly putting on disguises and leaving traces of his own legend somewhere, around, and then going and telling his legend and spreading those rumors further and making money off of that.
Nice. That's nice.
So
did you? It never said he was incapable of learning languages. I just think if
exactly.
you're starting
It
off
would
with
be-
this background,
I was thinking, it would have to be later on, or maybe they do it through interpretive music of some sort, or they have a friend that would tell them about
dance.
it. Yes.
Or even
tell the
bird
story.
calls, nature calls.
That's what I was thinking. More just
Mhm.
If speaks with animals is already a given, then maybe they they're a druid and they cast based on the calls of the animals that they're maybe that's where the magic comes from.
And I was going to mention that even during yours, Lee, but also here as well, there is a druidic tree teleport spell.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Kind of like Misty Step, but you can only step between trees.
From trees to trees, yeah.
And so that might be pretty interesting
It's already in
to
there.
play with here too.
Well, now
Mark,
I want to see Rick's Squatch versus Lee's Squatch and see who would win.
Squatch versus
Get your
Squatch.
spear ready.
Versus Squatch.
So I was just thinking about the language thing. Mark, Lee, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a druid's speak with animals can be used on a humanoid. To speak with a humanoid.
I don't
Right?
believe
Cannot
so.
be.
I don't believe
So
so.
we got a
So, yeah.
situation here where party members could actually get an animal to be an interpreter for their discussion.
You've got a little squirrel buddy.
would be
Tells you everything. You gotta have a druid and
Maybe
a
for
squatch.
equipment, I should give him a pet mouse or something.
His interpreter. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. I started off, I thought, okay, I want to try and do something we haven't done before. Every time, the other two times I've been on, I've always taken it and made an adventure hook or something, which is always fun. So I was trying to go outside
That is
those
definitely the
realms.
first time
I
we've
like
had
it. Mhm.
yeah, and still only the second time that we've had somebody stat out a monster.
That's right.
So that's still early too.
Good job, you guys.
Yeah. Do you have any? Does anybody have any other questions for Rick?
No, I just pass with the trace. Like I think
Starting
that's
gold.
such a cool
Rick.
idea.
I
Yeah,
Really
love
percentile
just the
ice.
name of that one. Pass
Come
with
on.
the trace.
pass with the trace is great.
Very
Yeah,
good.
no, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
But Percentile Vice posits sports anime TTRPG about Sasquatches playing basketball.
Like Teen Wolf, but
I was gonna say, wasn't that basically Teen Wolf? Yeah.
Kind of basically Teen Wolf. Yes.
Didn't we do that one? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. That.
Wow.
All right, Jason, you're
Yeah.
up.
Okay. I actually came up with a card game.
Nice.
Deep in the forest live a race of wild men long hidden from civilization by thousands of years of evolution. However, technology and humanity's stupidity has finally proven too much or too hard to overcome. So the players are Sasquatches, different kinds of Sasquatches, Yetis, skunk apes, whatever your local flavor might be, depending on where you are. And using the power of your environment and other powers on the cards, you're trying to avoid ending up on TV. That's the plan. So bad guys or enemy cards that you might come across are big game hunters, TV show hosts, TikTok nature influencers. Different types of Sasquatches will have different powers.
I
So
normally don't interrupt hosts, but can I please say that TikTok nature influencers as a sentence just hurt my soul.
yeah. That's why they're the bad guys. Different squatches will have different. The players can pick a different squatch to be. So if you choose a Bigfoot, it's actually funny when you said pass with trace because I have something pretty close to that, which is big tracks. Skunk apes have a terrible smell, etc. Players get points by collecting cards that help them evade capture or exposure. Cards can be anything from broken camera or outrun the guy in the fedora. Or you can play enemy cards on other people, like Unexpected Hiker or Suddenly Legal Patch of Magic Mushrooms. And you can collect combo cards like Beef Jerky Links and whatever you call that area where the power lines go. But basically, whichever Squatch collects the most, or what gets to their point max first by collecting these positive cards, escapes detection and lives to Squatch another day. I call it Wild Man Walking.
Nice.
Nice.
It's very good.
It sounds like a blast. I love the penalty cards that you can throw on your other players, like Unexpected Hiker, and I think we had a Magic Mushroom side in that deck too. So
Yep. They tend to pop up, especially if you're.
How many players do you envision this?
I think 4 makes sense. I was thinking Bigfoot, Yeti, Skunk Ape, and just your generic Sasquatch. So you could probably get 4 in there. But I think every area in the world has some form of hairy guy who lives in the mountains or the woods. So you could have, variations all over. Yep.
hey, can I suggest a card?
Yeah, absolutely.
For
Black Panther Gaming 91
penalty cards you can throw on.
on.
So on the card is a picture of a hairbrush, and the name of the card is Brush with Death.
Oh, God. What does it do, though? You just made a pun. What does it do?
That's as far as I could
That's
go.
as far as
That's
you
what I thought.
Jason is
more?
Jason's the creative genius on this game. I don't want to. I'm staying in my lane here, Lee.
Brush with Death makes you more photogenic, which is
Whoa,
not a good
that's
thing.
it.
Right.
It's not a good
Bad
thing for a
thing.
Sasquatch.
You get
to be.
prettied up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
See,
It reminds me of I think there's a game, it's called Boss Monster, that's a similar deck building game, and you build your dungeon as you go, and you can like put certain traps, and you're at the actual enemy, you're the owner of the dungeon, and you're trying to stop the heroes.
So you're the monster and you're building your dungeon.
You're building
that's
your
cool.
dungeon.
That's cool. I like
and so
that.
I think
What's it called?
it's a similar I think it's called Boss Monster. I have it
Boss
downstairs,
Monster?
but yeah.
Let's check that out.
Yeah, but it's a pretty good idea. I think that if you had these scenarios, like certain places in the forest cards, and then you could put these detriments on top of them, and the other players would have
exactly.
to, and then,
See, I think
so you'd
another
have like a person going through.
interesting good card for the game. In Mage in World of Darkness, Mage. The whole concept of you can't stand in the middle of Times Square and cast a spell that everybody's going to see is because the general disbelief of the populace will paradox back onto you, because that's not a real thing. You can't cast a firebolt in the middle of Times Square. So I would almost think like you need like a get out of jail free for somebody that's been caught.
Sure.
Called paradox or something along those lines, or disbelief of some kind, as a way to rescue somebody that's, maybe there's only one in the entire game and you got to hold on to it.
Lack of suspension of disbelief. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's
or
good.
Undocumented footage or something along those lines.
Well, I mean, I think definitely, there's gonna have to be a card with that classic, the slow sidewalk of the
right.
Yeah.
I think the Yeti character needs some feature called Polaroid.
I love it so much.
Freeze frame. Yeah.
Freeze frame.
Perfect.
Good too.
Perfect.
But no,
Dude, you should really make this game, by the way. I would like to play
not
it.
not
Game.
I
We'll pitch it. in our
I
next
am
meeting.
writing stuff down. Yeah. It just so happens I have a game design company. No.
I will happily trade you a one-page background for a copy.
And the other thing about it is you were mentioning the 4 types. I would think you'd want the 3 types to have some kind of, like you said, bad smell that has some kind of mechanic. I think the standard Sasquatch should start with more points towards the cap.
Sure.
Because that's
Because he doesn't have the
right. He doesn't have the cool abilities.
Right.
And in 5e,
That would
plus
make
1 to
sense.
every ability.
That's right.
So it's like the humans always get the feed at the beginning because they're not special otherwise, right? In D&D, yeah. No, I think it would be a fun, drinking card game for just crapping around the table for a while. So I have been writing down these ideas.
That's a great idea.
Out, and I will steal liberally.
Yeah, he does do that.
I do that. Yeah, I'm a terrible thief.
Steals all my ideas and puts them in books.
That's fine. Any other questions for Jason's? By the way, I've also played Boss Monster. It's amazing.
I have to check this game out. Then
I'll send you a picture later. It's a great game.
There's a series of video games also called Dungeon. There's like 4 of them too. It's not Dungeon Master, but it's
Dungeon Keeper. I think is
something like
that.
Yeah.
I think I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, Dungeon Keeper for sure. That's it. But yeah. Well, if there's no other questions for Jason, then that brings us to the part of the show again where I get to say, ha ha ha! The show has once again done exactly what I hoped it would do and shown kind of the creative process and the diversity of thought that lies in the TTRPG and small streamer community. Feel free to use any or all of these ideas in your own games, and if you, and perhaps we'll look for a Sasquatch card game coming soon by Jason. But if you're watching after the fact on YouTube, let us know in the comments what you came up with for today's idea, which ideas you like the most. And before we wrap up for the evening, I do want to say thank you again to our guests and give them a moment to reiterate where everyone can find them online and what they are working on at the moment. And we'll start with Lee.
Yep. Just please check out Abstract Adventures. I know there's like a million D&D podcasts out there, but I really, really love our players. We have a fantastic cast, and you can check out Jason with his great ideas. He plays a Kenku bard named Paddler, and he is hilarious and has many, many good lines. You can find Abstract Adventures on any podcasting app, or you can check us out on Twitter. We're at Adventurous Roll, and on Instagram, we're at abstractadventures.dnd. And you can chat with us. I love hearing anything about you guys watching, and spreading around the word on the social medias is like the best way for us to get listeners. Word of mouth is our only way. So please check it out. Give us a download and give us a listen.
Boys from the Baltic Star, thank you for the raid with 12 viewers. Welcome in, Sparrow and Kelly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know Awen. Yeah, he's sees me on Twitter all the time. Hi.
Me too. Yeah. Welcome in, guys. We are actually just wrapping up. We are going to raid out, so your raid's not going to be wasted. We're going to find somebody else to raid. I've got a couple people in mind, but we are just wrapping up. So hang out for just a second, and we'll hit Rick next. Rick, where can the folks find you online?
Find me on Twitter at Rick Stevens PI. And you can catch me talking or playing TTRPGs with Percentile Vice. Just search Percentile Vice on Twitch. Get our VODs on YouTube and any of your podcast platforms. You'll find them there as well.
Jason, you're up.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Dungeoneering with Jason. You can find Even Footing Games, the company that Lee and I are both a part of, at Even Footing Games or Even Footing GOOOO on Twitter, because we ran out of letters. Check out our podcast, Even Footing Games Presents Babies and Broadswords. If you like the podcast, check out the book. It's our first game. It's called Babies and Broadswords, the book with all the rules. You can find it on Amazon or Drive-Thru RPG. And we've got more games coming down the line. We are a very clever bunch of people who are putting out some very clever games, and we want you to play them.
And for us, we will be back at 7. First of all, thank you for the follow, Sparrow71 and Kelly. Appreciate both of you. We will be back at 7 p.m. Pacific tonight, so that's just about 45 minutes from now. We will be doing Fun with Friends Friday, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. If you've not seen that game yet, it is basically Borderlands, which is a first-person shooter with a D&D skin thrown over the top of it, where they like to poke fun at just about every D&D trope you've ever run into. It's actually really good.
It's good.
So we're getting a bunch of people together and we're playing that, and the community can definitely involve themselves. We have all kinds of point redemption, so you can mess with us while we're playing, among other things. So definitely join us for that. We'll be back at 7. I am going to raid out. I'm going to try and find somebody here real quick, because I think I have a couple TTRPG folks that might. Looks like they went offline. I knew it. Every time I get ready to raid him, he goes offline. Let me see if I see any. I will take it. Oh, nope. I see DMDM. We're going to raid DMDM. They are a great group of tabletop RPG players and creators. So we'll head over there for this raid. And then I just want to refresh and make sure they're actually on. So I have done that before.
Hey, Mark, I just wanted to say that was a home run for the season finale.
This is our season finale for season
This was the
1
season
of-
finale? Awesome.
This is the season finale, so I appreciate
So
you guys
special.
being on. I appreciate all the love we have gotten for this show. Everybody seems to have just positively responded to it, and I appreciate that. We will be starting to book people for season 2, which will probably start in July-ish. So absolutely appreciate everybody coming through, and I appreciate all the well wishes. So we're gonna hit the schedule, and then we're gonna raid out to DMDM. Wait, I want to make sure they're there because they just disappeared off my list. Yep, they're there. Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna hit the schedule, and then we'll raid out from there. Until next time, be excellent to each other, and game on.
Game on!
Goodbye.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was. Great ideas. Seriously, I want that game, Jason.
I want that game now too.
If you're going to just self-produce it, I want happy. When's it release? If you're going Kickstarter, let me know.